On March 22, 1999, a young woman named Cynthia Vigil called the police and told them that she had been held captive in a soundproof trailer for 3 days. She said she had managed to escape after her captor left the keys unattended. Barefoot and handcuffed, she ran for her life through the streets of Elephant Butte, New Mexico, finally finding help at a nearby mobile home. When the police found out, they quickly reached the location that the woman had mentioned. When officers arrived, she told them everything about the torture, the drugs, and the strange voice that kept playing on a tape recorder, telling her exactly what was going to happen to her. The police followed her story to a small, quiet home, and what they found inside would shock even the most experienced investigators. When police went inside the trailer, they were shocked. It looked like a torture room. There were chains, whips, sharp tools, and even drawings of the human body on the walls. In the middle of the room, there was a special chair, like the ones used by doctors, but it had belts to tie hands and feet. Above the chair were mirrors, so the victim could see everything. The scariest part was a tape, a recording David Parker Ray played for his victims.
Hello there, bitch. Are you comfortable right now? You are disoriented and scared too, I would imagine. You probably think you're gonna be raped, and you're fucking sure right about that.
In the recording, he calmly told them what he was going to do. He sounded cold and used to it, like he had done it many times before. The police now knew this wasn't just a kidnapping. They had found a man who may have hurt many women, maybe even killed them. After seeing the trailer, police wanted to know who this man really was. So they started looking into his past. David Parker Ray was born on November 6, 1939, in a small town called Belen, New Mexico. His childhood was not normal. During his childhood, Ray and his younger sister lived at their grandmother's house, and she was known for having a very strict and harsh personality. Before that, Parker Ray had lived with his father for some time, but because his father was very abusive, he eventually moved to his grandmother's home. Ray's father was a heavy drinker and an immoral man who would occasionally visit the family, bringing with him obscene magazines filled with violent and disturbing material. Ray's sexual fantasies of raping, abusing, and even murdering women developed during his teenage years. When Ray was 14 years old, his sister saw his violent drawings and pornographic pictures of bondage practices. As a result, Ray and his sister lost their bond. After completing high school, Ray joined the United States Army, where he worked as a general mechanic and received an honorable discharge. Later, he worked as a maintenance man for the New Mexico Parks Department in the town of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, until his arrest. Around this time, Ray met a 37-year-old woman named Cindy Hendy, who worked at the same place. Cindy was on the run from charges of grand theft and drug-related crimes in Washington state. The two quickly became romantically involved and bonded over their shared violent sexual fantasies. Ray sexually tortured and presumably killed his victims using whips, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, leg spreader bars, surgical blades, electric shock machines, and saws. He terrorized many women with these tools for years, often with the help of accomplices, some of whom were women he had been dating. His torture room was a repurposed, soundproofed cargo trailer located just outside his property in Elephant Butte, New Mexico. Ray called this trailer the toybox. He stocked it with numerous sex toys, torture devices, syringes, and detailed diagrams showing different ways to inflict pain. He even built a homemade electrical generator to deliver electric shocks to his victims. In total, Ray is believed to have spent nearly $100,000 fitting the trailer with these horrifying tools. After 3 days of captivity, Cynthia Vigil escaped on March 22, 1999. Now let me tell you how Cynthia Vigil escaped. On the day she was trapped inside the trailer, David Parker Ray had carelessly left the keys nearby. Cynthia waited until Ray left for work. When she saw the opportunity, she quickly grabbed the keys left on a table by Cindy Hendy and unlocked her chains. But as she was trying to escape, Hendy noticed her. A struggle broke out. Hendy hit Cynthia with a lamp, but Cynthia fought back and managed to stab Hendy in the neck with an ice pick. Wearing only a slave collar and chains, Vigil ran down the road and found help from a nearby homeowner who called the police. Her escape led to the arrest of Ray and Hendy. When police entered Ray's property after her complaint, they found the soundproofed trailer, the infamous toy box. Inside, they discovered horrifying evidence: torture devices, a gynecological chair, chains, syringes, videotapes, and audio cassettes. One of the most chilling discoveries was a recording of Ray calmly describing to his victims what he planned to do to them. While searching the property, police also found personal belongings from multiple women. Some items, like jewelry and IDs, didn't belong to Cynthia, suggesting there had been many more victims. Within hours, police arrested both David Parker Ray and his girlfriend, Cindy Hendy. Soon after the arrest of both, another woman, Angelica Montano, came forward. She said Hendy had invited her over to pick up cake mix, but instead took her to Ray's house, where she was raped and tortured. Montano convinced them to let her go, and an off-duty officer picked her up. She told him her story, but he didn't believe her and left her at a bus stop. Later, she called the police, but no action was taken. Police then found another victim, Kelly Garrett, after recognizing her tattoo in one of Ray's videotapes from 1996. She was living in Colorado. Garrett said she had fought with her husband and went out to play pool. Ray's daughter, Jessie Ray, who knew her, allegedly drugged her drink and took her to Ray's house. Garrett was tortured for 2 days before Ray dropped her back home, claiming he had found her incoherent on a beach. Her husband didn't believe her memory loss, and they later divorced. Garrett never reported the attack until police found her years later. She later shared her story in an episode of Cold Case Files. The FBI sent about 100 agents to search Ray's property, but they didn't find any human remains. As investigators dug deeper into the case, the full scale of Ray's crimes slowly came into focus. Ray kidnaps about 4 or 5 women a year, holding each of them captive for around 2 to 3 months. Exactly how many murder victims Ray claimed over the years is uncertain. Investigators believe that he raped, tortured, and killed up to 60 individuals throughout his life, but they have not been able to locate any of their remains. A diary that Ray kept detailed what he did to each victim, but it did not disclose where he buried their bodies. According to accomplice Cindy Hendy, Ray's fatal victims were dismembered and buried or dumped in the Elephant Butte Lake or nearby ravines. A judge ruled that David Parker Ray would be tried separately for crimes against Cynthia Vigil.
That scared me to death, what I went through. One morning I was walking to a restaurant, and this guy came up to me and told me that he'd asked for me. So I went over there, and he acted like a cop and told me
Angelica Montano and Kelly Garrett. Prosecutors said this weakened their case because each woman's story could have supported the others. The judge also decided that much of the evidence found in Ray's trailer, including his taped confessions and torture devices, could not be used in the Garrett or Montano trials. In the first trial for Kelly Garrett, the case ended in a mistrial after 2 jurors said they didn't believe her story. Ray claimed that everything was consensual. After a retrial, he was found guilty on all 12 counts. Even though police believed Ray had killed many women, no bodies were ever found, making murder charges difficult. A week into his trial for Cynthia Vigil, Ray agreed to a plea deal to protect his daughter. In 2001, he was sentenced to 224 years in prison for the abduction and sexual torture of 3 women. His daughter, Glenda Jessie Ray, was charged with kidnapping and sexual assault. She pled no contest and received 30 months in prison and 5 years of probation. Investigators believed Jessie had helped lure victims to the toy box by pretending to be a helpless woman who needed help. In 1999, Ray's other accomplice, Dennis Roy Yancey, admitted to killing 22-year-old Marie Parker in 1997. He said Jesse Ray helped lure Parker to the trailer, and after days of torture, Ray forced Yancey to strangle her. However, no body was ever recovered, and no forensic evidence tied Ray directly to Parker's death. Yancey was sentenced to 30 years in prison but was paroled in 2010. He violated his parole in 2011 and stayed in prison until his final release in 2021. Cindy Hendy, who played a key role in Ray's crimes and testified against him, was sentenced to 36 years in prison. She admitted to helping Ray kidnap and torture women. Hendy was paroled in 2017 after serving 18 years and officially completed her parole in 2019. David Parker Ray died of a heart attack on May 28, 2002, just 3 years into his sentence, while he was being transferred to another prison. Many believe he took the full truth about his victims to his grave. David Parker Ray's twisted world inside the toy box left behind a trail of horror that shook the entire nation. Although Cynthia Vigil's brave escape helped uncover the nightmare he created, the true number of his victims remains a chilling mystery. Ray died of a heart attack in 2002, taking many of his dark secrets with him to the grave, leaving behind only unanswered questions and unimaginable fear.